Right, for this week's away perspective, we are joined by Baz and Will from Talk of the Trinity. First of all, lads, cheers for coming on.
Thank you for having us, mate. Much appreciated.
Yeah, good to be here.
Brilliant. First of all, I'll start with you, Baz. The big news in the summer was Jack Grealish leaving. You brought in a few signings, Buendia, Ings, Young, I think, was it Bailey as well? Yeah. How has it gone without Grealish, and are you happy the way you've coped since that transfer?
I think we've coped as well as you can do, really, in terms of Grealish once in a generational talent, really. And realistically, I don't think we were ever going to be able to replace him with one player. So we pretty much spent the 100 million on 3 or 4 players. And it's going to be a completely different system because a lot of our players, especially in the earlier years of the Premier League, when we got promoted again, was get the ball to Grealish. He'll do something, and then if we might struggle. So we've kind of had to change the system since getting rid of Grealish, and the players we've brought in have enabled us to try a few new different things tactically that we might not have done under Grealish. So as well as it can do, considering how great a player is, and obviously you'd rather have him in your team, but we're doing all right.
Yeah, I'll bring you in on that, Will. You agree with that?
I agree completely. I think, if you looked at Villa Twitter at the time, you probably thought that Aston Villa was going to crumble to the ground and the mark would be reduced to ashes. But we're doing quite well. I mean, we probably should be doing better than we are at the moment, really, given some of the results. But I'd take 10th place at the moment without him.
It's funny you say that, because my next question was going to be, as I go back to you, Baz, is what are your expectations for the season? What were they before the season? And are they still the same?
I would have had about 10th, to be honest. I mean, in terms of last season, we were 11th. So I suppose 10th isn't a hugely optimistic leap, I suppose, if you're looking at it like that. But with Grealish going and having to, almost start again, really, without him, because he was just such a big part of the team. I think this season, I think there'll be acceptance from most fans of stability. I think next season, I think, is when the real kind of pressure will come from the fans in terms of looking to go up the table. And, as we've seen from our friends up north at Newcastle over the last few days, there will always be a new player coming in. So you just need to take advantage of the head start that we've got. So, I think this season we should roughly about where we are now. But, next season I think will be the real kind of pressure test, and the expectation will be to be challenging for Europe.
Yeah, and Will, from a Wolves point of view, as a Wolves fan, who should we be looking out for? Who are your key players this season? Who are the biggest threats?
Well, I think our most consistent player, or 2 of our most consistent players, you're quite lucky, are on international duty. Douglas Luiz has been phenomenal since coming back into the team. He came back as a holding midfielder. He played Football Manager. He was a deep line playmaker rather than a breaker up of play. But he won't be playing because he's had a late call up to Brazil. And Emi Martinez has been outstanding in goal. I normally, and you'd probably imagine that I'll go for the Danny Ings or the Ollie Watkins. I actually think that the 2 danger men for us are going to be Matty Cash and Matty Target, providing he doesn't go off injured because of Adama Traore, as he normally does. But I think those wing backs changing to the 5 in midfield, those 2 could cause some problems depending on the formation that you play.
Yeah, and Baz, what are your thoughts on Wolves from the outside looking in? What's your opinion? Bruno Lage, new manager. We've had an okay start to the season, just a point behind you guys. What's your thoughts on us from the outside looking in?
I would have been more confident playing you a month ago. It seems like in terms of the results have began to pick up. I think Jimenez getting back into full fitness is obviously a massive boost for you, because from the outside looking in, it did seem like last season perhaps Wolves tailed off a little bit after Jimenez got injured.
He's a great player, isn't he?
I mean, really good holding the lineup. And a new manager, I think it links with the chairman, I think, in terms of you could say how he got the job, maybe a bit of a surprise, but does seem like that the performances were okay at the start of the season without the results kind of from what I saw. But now that the results are beginning to turn in, I mean, it's great to play Newcastle this early in the season. I mean, we had fun when we played Newcastle early on. So if you're looking for a win, That's always a good place to start. But yeah, I think I'm not too worried about Traore. He never seems to play very well against us.
Yeah.
But,
you jinxed it now.
yeah, Traore hat trick.
Yeah. Same to you. Well, is there anyone you fear apart from Traore and Jimenez? If you do fear them,
I think you've got some great players on paper, and not just on paper, really. I mean, Ruben Neves is a quality midfielder. I'd have loved us to have had a cheeky bid for him. I'm not saying that he would have come to us, but when we were pushing on trying to spend some of that Grealish money, and we were linked with Ward-Prowse, it would have been a statement of intent. Moutinho seems to play well as well, despite being like 49 or however old he is.
Yeah.
Raul Jimenez, watched him against Newcastle, and the way he was playing in regards to dropping deep, getting the ball, linking the play, it was very Harry Kane-esque. And you sort of think you can understand why Man United wanted him previously. It looks as though that injury hasn't got the better of him, which is obviously great to see, because you hate to see players go into their shell because of injuries that they sustain. But you'll have to excuse me for my ignorance. The new signing that you brought in that scored 2 goals against Newcastle, him and I think someone like a Daniel Podence will cause us problems because of their pace.
Yeah, Hwang Hee-chan, he's actually keeping Podence at the team, arguably at the moment. So yeah, he's on fire, as you saw against Newcastle. But, so lastly, lads, put you on the spot a bit. Can you both give me a score prediction? How do you think it's going to go?
I think it's going to be a close game. As I said, Arav would have played you a month ago before you got going. It's in terms of it's a derby game, but it's obviously not each of ours kind of closest derby. So it's kind of got that slightly different atmosphere. But obviously, both teams want to get a result. Put me on the spot. I think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be 1-1 in terms of. I think both teams will be going in fancying their chances of getting a win. But I think in terms of because we've got a couple of players who might not be playing because of international commitments, that kind of slightly reduces the quality of our starting 11 we could put out. And consistency has been a big thing for us. Being able to consistently put the first choice 11 on the field has been a bit of a struggle for us. So I'd say 1-1, but I can see if it is going to be a win either way, it's going to be by the odd goal.
Fair enough. Will?
I think similar. I think it is going to be a draw, but I think there's going to be a couple more goals in it. With us having Jed steering goal, I'm never 100% confident. Though I also think that it won't be long before Watkins and Ings click together playing up front. So with us missing a few key players, I'd take a draw. I'm going to go 2-2. I think.
Brilliant. I'll take that. I'll take a draw all day, lads. So lads, thanks for coming on. Obviously, we're about to do something on your channel too. And best of bad luck for the weekend, of course.